A bit on Mr. Ball on the ball Daniel. But if I forget, play your card right. What do you think you're doing? It's Radio 1 disc jockey.
Oh, is he?
Half pint of shandy, sir.
Thank you. And a packet of peanuts, please.
Certainly, sir. Be 48p, please, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh dear. Could I have a packet of peanuts, please?
Mason Boyne, he's a sport and a friend. He'll be true orange and blue till the end. With a shake of the hand and a kick in the groin. Mason Boyne, Mason Boyne, Mason Boyne.
You should be ashamed of yourself fighting at your age.
Goodness gracious, Morag, you're talking as if it was just a drunken brawl. It was completely justified and vital to the credibility of my deeply held beliefs.
What happened then?
Someone called me a fat orange bastard.
Well, your suit's ruined.
Master's blood, Morag.
And you left the front door wide open, the sweet and sour trampled into the carpet, and by the way, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy rubbish. Doesn't mean a thing to me. Birthday's just the same as any other day of the year. Did you get us a present?
It's by the side of your bed.
Great. Let me guess. A new sash and a box of orange creams? Oh, you shouldn't have, Morag. Come here, you wee darling. Come here.
I'm busy, mate.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on.
Thanks very much.
It's funny, you know. I'm not getting any younger. It's funny how you always think that, isn't it, on your birthday? When you're a year older than the last time you thought about it, how you're getting older, isn't it?
There's another card for you.
And I bet I know who that's from. My wee darling daughter, Orangina. Love to Daddy, isn't that sweet? And look at that wee what? Yeah, they've got to get their filthy hands onto everything, haven't they? Just look at that card.
What?
Who do we know that sometimes wears a heart like that? Eh? And look at that. That zombified bird following behind. And that umbrella, held just like a bishop's crook.
So, Snoopy is the Pope?
I know. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Just how low they'll stoop to get their doctrines across. But it proves what I've always said, Morag.
What?
The Catholics are obsessed with religion.
I believe there is a God. I believe he created everything that we have, except for our home extension, because my husband did that.
I love cats. They're warm and friendly, and honestly, they're so nice to have around the house. As soon as Fluffy hears me opening the tin, he's there in a flash. And he eats every scrap. There's never any waste. It's tender, it's chunky, it's meaty, and Fluffy lets me know how much he enjoys it. In fact, we often have conversations together. He understands every word I say. In fact, he told me to vote SDP at the last election, which I did. And he's taking French and Spanish O-levels this year. I'm publishing his poetry next summer. And he's doing
Thank you very much. That was lovely. Thank you. Thank you, love. We'll let you know.
Next.
Thank you, love. We'll let you know. Next. Thank you, love. We'll let you know.
Oh, it just seems senseless to me, slaughtering the baby seals. I mean, if you let them grow a bit bigger before killing them, you could make much bigger jackets.
Martin Borman. Louise Collins. I'll bounce up and if I did a voice to bear a new Kinnock. Who's the double glazing? What's your voice if I have a day? No, it's 9 o'clock news. Ho ho. Dave Lee Travers, Mr. Harry Body gets you. I'm doing it, Tuesday. Never. Chris. Dodge chip. What? Dodge chip. That was about. As you said, I'm going to chip. I'll win ever did it. Get up. Cecil Parkinson.
You know, it simply makes my blood boil when these northern people accuse the Conservatives of being out to get the unemployed. It's absolute nonsense. It's those bastards who still got jobs that we're after.
Time on Breakfast Time is 8:15. Time once again to go over to our special guest on Breakfast Time this morning, playwright, critic, journalist and wit, Geoffrey Blake. Geoffrey, what's your opinion of the state of English drama?
My opinion is exactly the same as it was at 7 o'clock, 7:30.
Now, don't go away, Jeff, because I'd like to talk to you once again about the state of English drama at 8:30. Selina.
Thank you, Frank.
Selina, may I say how it never ceases to amaze me how you manage to look so radiant after being the only woman in the country to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's very nice of you, Frank, but you know, to get to the studio on time, I have to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Really? Well, so do I.
Do you really? Well, it's fascinating talking to you, as usual, Frank, but we must get on, so it's time to show a bit more leg and time to speak to our guest for this morning, Claire Rayner.
Hello, lovey.
Hello. Would you like to pick up your phone, Claire, because we have a caller coming through now.
Super.
Hello?
Yes, how can I help you, darling?
Well, Claire, my problem is, it's my thingy.
Go on.
Well, let me put it this way.
Yes.
When God handed them out, I was the last in the queue.
Look, my lovey, I've handled hundreds of problems such as yours. Well, no, perhaps I should just rephrase that. What I mean is I'm really sympathetic to your problem, lovey, but I can assure you that size really isn't important, is it, Selina?
No. How should I know?
Look, lovey, could I just ask you, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh, well, I won't ask what your hobby is, but let me assure you, once again, size really isn't important, as any woman will freely admit.
Who said anything about women?
Well, that's all we have on the phones now, so let's go over to Russell Grant to see what the stars have in store for us.
Thank you, Selina, for a lovely handover. I would have preferred lovely leg over, of course. Who am I kidding? Now, like the blouse that was sent to me by Mrs. Singh of Swansea, I shall be singing your praises all day. Good morning, adorable Anne in Runcorn. Salutations to sexy Sheila in Rugby, and Geoffrey, you are in Leo. Lucky old Leo, say I. Now, what do the stars hold in their heavenly little handbag today? Cancer? Cancer, you crustaceous creeps. The number 2 and the colour blue will both be lucky for you today. This morning you could receive long-awaited news. This afternoon you could be a very rich person following a windfall. And tonight you will die. By the way, loves, many, many thanks to the legions who rushed out and bought my new album. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Legion of Croydon. And finally, mellifluous Melinda of Isha. She asked, is she on the cusp? Frankly, dear, at your age, I'm very much doubt. Frank, is that a radio mic in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me?
I tried 4 men for gross indecency last week. None of them were any good.
Right. Put your hands up where I can see them. Come on. All of them.
I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to speak to the press and prove once and for all that these stories of prison overcrowding are in no way based on reality. Young, open the door.
Hello, Mr. Pearson?
Yes, just over there, dear.
Hello, Mr. Pearson. Got a singing telegram for you.
Singing telegram for me?
Yes. Please do not try to contact the police. We have your wife and children, your mother and your niece. If you want to see them alive and well again, for 300,000 in a plane from Madam Ben, leave it in the car box on the corner of the street. And for every hour delay, we will send you to Leslie, to Leslie, to Leslie. And for every hour delay, we will send you to Leslie.
Oh, God, I don't believe it. A group of feminists have formed a football team and they want to get into the Football League. I mean, Christ almighty, they've got Queen's Park Rangers already in the league. What else do the stupid bitches want? Don't get me wrong, though. No, I'm not a male chauvinist pig. Far from it, as you know, Alec. No, if the wife wants to become an airline pilot and fly all the way around the world, that's fine. Just so long as my dinner's on the table when I get back from the pub. I'll tell you, Bob, seriously, I'll tell you what makes my blood boil. All these bloody feminists want to be called Ms. Huh? Ms. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Ms. bloody feminist. I don't know why they don't just go, excuse me, I hope they don't, I just wonder sometimes why they don't just go the whole hog and call themselves Mr. They're all bloody lesbians anyway. And have you noticed how ugly most of them are? Dear God. Most of them could never find themselves a husbands. What do? Go and stay and squalor in some camp and talk about their fundamental ideals, which, I may say, include a world without men. Ha! It's all going to be women's sperm banks and Tupperware parties, I suppose. No, I'm sorry, Alec. I think a woman's place is in the home and not marching about with her breasts hanging around like Ruth Tyler's nail bags. We're all a bunch of shapeless boilers anyway. I think I'll have another pint, please, Jim, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Tragic, isn't it? I mean, when you think back to the old days, what a scene of urban dereliction and decay.
Yeah. I can remember when this were all factories.
Yes, I do. I make quite a good living. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, I make about £6,000 more than Mrs. Thatcher. I think she must be walking down the wrong street.
I think it's absolutely awful the way old people are treated. Shut away in homes, away from everything. What we should be doing, of course, is involving them in various activities, sporting activities, for example, and that's what we're doing here. Hello, Mrs. McNulty. Oh, very nice. Oh!
Six 6-1, Kenny. What a wonderful result for you. I bet you're pleased, eh, Kenny?
We're over the moon, Bill. Absolutely delighted.
Well, Kenny, I couldn't help but notice that your hair's still wet from the bath. Tell me, is it one big bath? Or do you shower separately, or what happens?
One big bath, actually. I think the game started to go our way just after half.
And I expect, after a game like today, there'll be a lot of horseplay in the bath, a lot of splashing and hitting each other with loopers, that sort of thing, is it?
Well, there's quite a bit, I suppose. Anyway, as I was saying, the midfield...
I expect when everybody's having this horseplay, I expect there's a lot of sort of soaping each other and leaping on each other's backs, that sort of thing.
No.
Well, but I expect with a very deep bath, it'd be quite possible for some of the players during the horseplay just to dive down underneath another player's legs and come up the other side, is it?
Really must be going. The rest of the lads will be on the coach.
Ah, the coach, is he the one that rubs you down, Kenny, is it?
We live in a sick, depraved society. I mean, look at us.
I'm sorry, there's no one home just now.
As I said, he was a phantom pregnancy.
Just where shall I dress?
Play it, yeah.
Have you got a phone number? We could get somebody coming.
Look, I can't
understand what he's saying, Margaret. I'll get the inspector.
This always is so wise, Bishop Elvis.
Anyway, we're surrounded by archers here, here, and here. So good old Bunty Davenport, he deploys his men in the northern plateau here. Absolutely brilliant.
Bloody nonsense. Bunty Davenport was never on the northern plain. He was in the south, here.
I tell you, he was in the northern plateau here.
He was in the south, here.
Oh, well, let's ask him, shall we? Here he comes now.
A perfectly good banana skin rendered inedible. And why? Because of the close proximity to the vinegar on this here chips. A problem that us gents of the road are only too familiar with. And the rubbish. This, however, could all be a thing of the past thanks to a new British invention. And like all good ideas, it's basically very simple. In this compartment, your chips. And in this compartment, hello, your banana skin. And what could be nicer to finish it off than all the wee flaky bits of chocolate that always get stuck to the silver wrapper of the chalk ice. Big Arthur McNulty, Tomorrow's World.
Where's the manager? Tracey!
Yes, madam. What seems to be the trouble?
In there, that hand.
Hand, madam?
Yes, have you not seen the date? It says Silver the 10th is the 28th today.
What absolutely sickens me are these endless cheap jokes about British rail inefficiency and buffet bar food. I've been eating buffet bar food now for well on 18 months now, and I shall continue to eat buffet bar food until my connection arrives.
My kind of time. Bobby today. This land is my land. Decline, it's long and wide. Oh, the wonder, Cupid wonder. Oh, the culinary heat. Washed with ginger. Rotisserie and the city bakery.
I moved out of the city about a year ago, bought this place, and as you can see, there's no rat race here, no concrete jungle, no noisy pubs, no smelly traffic, no shops, no neighbours, no telephones. In fact, I can honestly say it's really boring.
Good evening. This is Kevin Turvey. There's something different about me this week, isn't there? Can you spot it? I've had a haircut. No, that's not it, is it? What can it be then? That's right, I'm not here. I have completely disappeared and become utterly invisible. I'm floating around in the air and like in and out of cupboards. But I'm now visible again. And I'm not floating around anymore. Good, I was getting a bit airsick anyway. Good evening, Britain. That was an investigation into the nature of the supernatural. And as you probably spotted, it was completely great. My name is Kevin Turvey. Why? Well, I don't know. It's not my fault. Somebody gave it to me. I wasn't consulted. I think they might have asked me, don't you? I mean, I'm the one who's got to go around the rest of his life being called Kevin Turvey by people. Makes you sick. Makes me sick anyway. I'll tell you what makes me really sick, though. Drinking a pint of salt water and jamming my fingers down my throat. That makes me really sick, that's all. So, like, wherever possible, I try to avoid doing that, you know. Well, especially on the television. Because, like, it gets down the back and makes the picture go all wiggly, you know. And all the programmes start to stink. Even Fame. And then you get this horrible stinging pain in the back of your head. And you go, ow, stop hitting me, Mum. And she says, what's all this sick? He said, well, it's mainly vegetables. But there's some cornflakes in there, I think, and a cup of tea and things like that, you know. Anyway, it's a horrible business. I just try to avoid it whenever possible, being sick, you know. Especially in the fridge. Well, because things last longer in the fridge, don't they? You know. Because, like, we've got this fridge at home, you know. Well, we mainly use it for keeping things in that we want to keep cold, you know. Well, it ain't much good for anything else, really. I mean, you can't get Radio 1 on it. Well, not unless you put the radio inside it first. You know. I tried that the other day, actually. But I just opened the fridge door, right? And I heard this terrible ringing sound. I thought, oh, no. I've smashed my face open on the fridge door again.
Hello, capitalists everywhere. My name is Boris Markovich, without a hyphen. I am an ordinary citizen of the Soviet Union, and I'm here to dispel just a few of the ridiculous myths about my country that circulate in your newspapers and the Daily Star. Here in Soviet Union, life is really very much like in the West, except better. We don't have Watney's Red Barrel. Everything else is the same opportunities, the same lifestyles, and yes, our young people even listen to the same Alma Cogan records. There really is no difference. You have sirloin steak in your shops. We have sirloin steak in our shops. You wear good clothes. We wear good clothes. You complain about your government. We complain about your government. Your government, by the way, tells terrible lies about the Soviet Union. For example, they say people are not allowed to take holidays out of Russia. Bolsheviks. I myself have just returned from a tour of Afghanistan, Cuba, South Vietnam, and Cambridge. But I am not a poop. Undoubtedly, the most popular leisure activity in Russia is walking. We Russians walk everywhere. If you've ever owned a Russian car, you will know why. Perhaps one of the biggest misconceptions about Soviet peoples is that we are not allowed to tell political jokes. Fiddle-dee-dee. Here is a political joke. Michael Hazeltine. They say we have no sense of humor. Well, here is a cracker I heard in the queue for razor blades this morning. Excuse my stubble, it was a very long queue. What did the socialist say to the fascist at the bus stop? Get out of my way, you fascist bastard. Laugh, I nearly joined the queue for cigarettes. Good night, and suck it to me. Was that all right, Commissar? Was that all right, Commissar?
But I'll tell you something funny, right? There's this bloke, and he goes into a pub. And there's a donkey behind the bar. And he goes up to the donkey, and he says, all right, Brian? Well, he guessed his name, you know. And the donkey says, all right, mate. Well, only with his hoof, like he gets. All right, mate. And the bloke says, I'll have a pint of bitter, please. And the donkey says, right, mate. Pause it out. He says, pint of bitter, was it? And the bloke says, that's right. And he goes, here then. I told you it was funny, didn't I? Ain't got nothing to do with the story, though. That's the way things are sometimes, isn't it? You know. Well, that just about wraps it up for another week. Before I go, I'd just like to say, I'm going now. Ta-da. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, until next week, this is Kevin Turvey saying keep your trousers up, keep your legs down, and this is the age of the train.
Oh, Mr. Perry, good of you to come.
During an orange walk, a group of office bearers came to the end of a long procession. And, being tired, they removed their bowler hats, their sashes, and laying down their purely symbolic heavy batons, they decided to offer prayers to the Lord.
found a member who could read. An extract was made. While this was going on, it was noticed that one of the young office bearers was playing with himself at cards. He was brought before the Grand Master and asked to make an explanation, which he did. He said, when I see the ace, I am reminded that there is only one true God who I have made in my likeness and image. When I see the two, I am reminded that there are only two kinds of people in the world, good people and Roman Catholics. The three is the trinity that has guided me throughout my life. We Alec, Tim and Jim from the newsagent. The four reminds me of the game of golf and the fact that I can never win it because I refuse to stand on anything called a green. Five is the number of dollars I paid for my doctorate in divinity. And six is the hard number of minutes that I studied for it. 7 is what you get if you add up the first 2 digits of my telephone number. Belfast 1690. 8. Well, the 8 reminds me of the sausage, bacon and eggs that I ate for breakfast. 9 is the reply I got from a German girl to a question I asked her once in Dusseldorf. 10 reminds me of Bo Derek. The Queen is, of course, Her Majesty. The King, who else but Elvis Presley? And the Jack, or Knave, the Pope. The Grand Master dismissed him, and no charges were brought against him. And that's a true story, folks. I know I was that office bearer. And if you don't believe me, I'll ram this pack of cards down your throat.
Joyce, haven't you heard? It's a 4-minute warning. We're all going to be blasted to bits. So anything you've ever wanted to do it now, for it's too late. Anything. What is it?
Good morning, sir. Can I help you?
Tube of acne cream, please. Yes. And, a can of deodorant. And a bottle of anti-dandruff shampoo for particularly greasy hair. A tube of water remover, please. Oh, and give me some of that breath freshener, will you? And a nasal decongestant. And a family-sized tube of hemorrhoid ointment. And give me a couple of pairs of those odor-eating insoles. These are size 10, aren't they?
Anything else?
Oh, yes, give me a packet of contraceptives. I feel lucky tonight.
Sharon, will you tell your mother I'll be working late at the office tonight?
Mummy, Daddy says he'll be working late at the office tonight.
Will you tell your father not to expect any dinner tonight? He knows quite well it's my night for going out.
Daddy, Mummy says...
Will you tell your mother that if it was to be anything like the meal we had last night, I'd rather eat the contents of an ashtray?
Mummy, Daddy says if it's anything
Will you tell your father that if he doesn't like my cooking, he can return to the Filipino stripper he used to pimp for?
Daddy, if you don't
Will you tell your mother that I only pimped for that Filipino stripper to earn enough money to pay for your mother's numerous backstreet abortions?
Mummy, Daddy says...
Will you tell your father that's an absolute lie and he knows it? He needed the money to support his hopeless heroin addiction.
Daddy, Mummy...
I'd like to remind your mother that my addiction to heroin came about because heroin was administered as part of the torture when I was captive in a Viet Cong prison camp. A camp in which your mother was commandant.
Mummy,
Daddy just... Will you remind your father that if it hadn't been for my intervention, he would have been shot for what he caught doing to that wild pig?
A wild pig? Daddy,
You tell your mother that it was dark, and I thought it was her.
Will you tell your father?
No, I won't! I can see you now for what you are, and I hate you! God, I hate you!
Bye-bye, darling. Good luck with your O-levels today.
There's no filming here, right? It's